we're spending money in the wrong places nationally, especially.
You got to invest in public transportation.
Of
I mean, if you want a
course.
public transportation system, you got to invest in it.
So why don't, why is it only people like you and I that take public trains?
Well, a lot of people.
And what's going on in Massachusetts with the MBTA, and how do we fix the T and make it extend the green lines and finance it properly?
I'm kind of baffled, frankly, about where the current administration is coming from on this. We had that situation, it wasn't Charlie Baker's fault, where we had serious snowstorms. Okay, and for whatever reason, and we know why, the T shut down in the middle of the winter. Now, why did it shut down? Because the folks in charge of the T at the time apparently didn't understand that in a snowy climate, when you have a major storm, you run the trains 24 hours a day, otherwise you're going to get drifting, which paralyzes the system. Look, when we had the blizzard of '78, which was worse than 2015, we didn't lose a minute of service on the T. Maybe with some of the bus stuff because of what was going on, but because I basically banned all traffic.
Right.
The buses could move.
Mm-hmm.
How come? Top-notch leadership. And I had Bob Kiley on the job as the new CEO of the T within 60 days after I took office, and if I could have had him there in the first 15, I would have wanted him there. But 2 months after I was inaugurated, Kiley was on the job, putting together a team, beginning to run the thing, and he wasn't a transit guy, he was a superb public manager. So what happened in this case? We just got our first serious CEO after 2.5 years. Interim, one after another. What is this? This privatization stuff. Give me a break, will you? Dave Gunn, who was the CEO at Amtrak when I was there, was my director of operations at the T under Kiley. Gunn's one of the best transit and rail guys in America. He was the best CEO, in my opinion, Amtrak ever had. In fact, he was so good that the Bushies fired him. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Because they didn't want to push public transportation.
They didn't want. He was demonstrating very clearly that a public corporation could run an excellent railroad. And by the way, with a significantly reduced headcount and no blood on the floor. You can't run a transit system with a bunch of privatized units. So we privatized the cash room. What happened? They found some folks in the privatized operation stealing. Now we got another privatized system. Privatizing commuter rail. I'm sorry, it isn't working. It doesn't work. When I first became governor, we had the old railroads and we were subsidizing them, and they were doing a lousy job. So what happened? I kicked them out and I brought in Amtrak, which knows how to run a train system. And we had excellent service for 20 years. I mean, on-time performance, 96, 97, 98%. Then, thanks to one of our local conservative think tanks, folks at the time started beating the drum to privatize commuter rail. If you know anything about trains, you know that in the United States, there aren't maybe 3 companies that can run a passenger rail system for you.
Which are those 3?
Huh?
Who runs it well?
Only Amtrak, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
There are some other private companies. One of them was Herzog, that bid on the privatization system originally for commuter rail. Gunn had already said to them, look, you're asking us to assume a degree of risk that is not insurable. And so when the folks at the T who were responsible for this thing insisted, Gunn, who's one of these guys that doesn't suffer fools gladly, said, look, I'm trying to run a national railroad. If they don't want us, tough. Meantime, I'm on the board. It's kind of embarrassing. My commuter rail system. But Gunn said, these people don't know what they're doing. He said, we can't operate this thing. So what happened? They got 3 bidders. One was the old Boston and Maine that hadn't run a passenger rail system in about 20, 25 years, that, if you can believe this, Kevin, bid triple what the T was paying Amtrak. And Amtrak was making a modest profit. I mean, triple. Okay, so they're up.
Right.
Herzog can't get insurance. Surprise, surprise. We end up with one bidder, Jimmy O'Leary, former general manager of T, good guy, and that was it. And they paid him $25 million more than they were paying Amtrak for the same service. And he ran it, as you know, until Keola shut up.
Right.
And underbid him, except, in fact, they really didn't underbid him, because then the T paid him another, what, several millions of dollars. I mean, what's the point of this? And the other thing, obviously, is that you've got to have top-notch people running the show. I hope this new guy is going to be good, but he's not a public manager, doesn't know much about Boston. I mean, there are 5 or 6 people in this town today who could run the T and run it very, very well. None of them wants to do it.
Is that the reason why we don't hire them?
No, it's because, you know, if you're the governor, one of the things you got to do is sit down and say to whoever, you pick one of the 6.
Right. Yeah.
You know, Jim Rooney, Tom Glenn, I mean, whoever, look, you got to do this for us. You got to do this for the community.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you're persuasive enough, you can get a top-notch person to do it. But we've got somebody coming in from the outside, and it's not so much that he doesn't have any transit experience, it's just, this is a job that requires a high degree of management skill and political skill at the same time.
It's a difficult job, no question.
But it's a great job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great job. There isn't a better job around. But then you got to go to work, build your team, you know, develop morale. I mean, morale at the T is underground.
I feel, again, having lived in Hong Kong for a while,
Yeah,
in a place
yeah.
where nobody has a car,
Yeah.
you can get anywhere in 15 minutes.
I've ridden the system. Yeah.
If Boston had a system like that, and the great thing about Boston to me is it's small enough that you
Yeah.
can do things. I
Yeah.
mean, New York, I don't envy the mayor of any mayor of New
No,
York.
but Bob Cowley went to New York and straightened out that transit system,
Mhm.
and did such a great job that the mayor of London asked him to come to London to straighten out the London Underground. When was the last time you heard a European city ask an American to come over there to run its transit system? And Cowley did that. He was there for 4 years. People said, "How was it?" He said, "It was great. The only thing was that you couldn't get a decent bagel." You know? And he was just a terrific
Right.
manager. But we have that kind of talent, and I just think whoever the governor is, I mean, it's an absolutely key appointment.
Mhm.
And you've got to, and you can't leave the thing vacant for 2.5 years. I'm sorry.
I hate to keep coming. Where are the voices? Where are the voices in the legislature from
Pretty-
the mayor or the city council in
Well,
Boston?
it's interesting. I mean, you know, this is a good legislature, good people. It's kind of quiet.
It seems simple to me. I mean, we're in agreement on almost
It
everything.
is simple, but remember,
How do we educate the people?
one of the things you try to do is go out there and do this. You know, it's kind of complicated. It's a crazy kind of communications world these days, but that's part of the job of political leadership, to try to make the case for, I mean, how is it that we were able to spend $3 billion on the T when I was governor? Well, we had a sainted man named Thomas P. O'Neill Jr., who was the Speaker of the House, and was the guy that finally made it possible for us to take the highway money we didn't want to spend on highways and invest in public transportation. But I had terrific people running the T, and a director of planning and construction at the T named Frank Kevel, Irish kid from Dorchester, Northeastern Co-op civil engineering major, co-opted at the T, worked at the T. Kevel did $3 billion worth of construction for us, on time, on budget, no fooling around. And had my successor followed the advice of my Secretary of Transportation, Fred Salvucci, who wanted to put Kevel in charge of the big dig would have been done in half the time at about a third of the cost.